Hey guys, welcome to Approach the Nerd. I've got Joe from Joe's Geek Show with me today, and this is my belated and his, I guess it's currently on HBO Max. So current The Batman review, because you're in Japan, so you had to wait to see this movie, which kind of sucked. I actually saw it on opening night, which is interesting, but it is what it is.
Lucky. I would have given anything to see this movie in IMAX.
I know. Well, I waited for you to do this review because I knew that all my collab people, we were going to talk about Batman, so that's why I was like, let's do the Batman review. Yeah, so what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the stuff that we liked and all that. Joe's going to go first, talk about what he liked, if he didn't like something, and just generally what he thought of the movie, and then I'll just kind of chime in. Since you were the guest, you go first. So there we go, Joe. Let's talk about the Batman.
The Batman. So I guess the best thing I can do is start with like sort of an overall broad perspective of the film. Because I watched it late at night, turned the lights off, and I got the sound up, nice big TV, a bucket of popcorn. I was trying to give myself as much of the theater experience as humanly.
That's so sad, Joe, but I got you.
I tried. Well, the movie was only in theater for 2 weeks while I was here in Japan, and I just couldn't get over to it. But just sort of starting with broad thoughts, I actually really enjoyed the film. I think it was a very well done film. Like Robert Pattinson. People screamed to high heavens, of course, when Robert Pattinson was cast as Batman. This is gonna be the worst thing ever. It's like, well, you said the same thing about Ben Affleck. He ended up being the best thing about Batman v Superman, even though that movie did get away.
Will it back in?
Same thing about Heath Ledger's Joker, and heck, Michael Keaton back in 1989 got a bunch of hate mail for being cast as Batman.
Stupid. That's my Batman still to this date, but that's fine. Whatever. Haters.
Batman Returns. Favorite of all. But I mean, when he was cast, I was like, you know what? I've seen him past Twilight. I've seen a bunch of his other movies and stuff. The dude is a solid actor for sure. And he's definitely been, on the indie circuit honing his craft. And when I saw The Lighthouse, I was just like, yeah, that dude's totally, I'm gonna buy his Batman portrayal. So in that, I enjoyed his performance and everyone else's performance and stuff like that. I think Jeffrey Wright did a great job as Commissioner Gordon and stuff like that. Zoe Kravitz, great as Catwoman. Colin Farrell, man, I'm telling you, man, I watched this dude get the makeup put on him in the special features. I'm still like, it does not Colin Farrell, man. I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it.
He's come a long way from what wasn't he in SWAT? From the original SWAT movie?
Yeah. He was in SWAT. He was Bullseye in the Daredevil movie. He kind of been all over the place. Total Recall remake. From the acting perspective, I have no complaints on the film. The story I think was really was done really well. Matt Reeves, Robert Pattinson. I watched the interviews, read articles and stuff. They definitely did their homework. They were based a good portion of this movie off of The Long Halloween, some elements of Batman Year One, even though this was technically Batman Year Two as far as the movie itself goes. So every time, any plot elements or Easter eggs from, say, The Long Halloween popped up, I can think, yay, there's that, so that just made it fun, in that regard. And I think what's really interesting is, how well they took those elements, and they weaved the narrative together and, given us things like the Riddler. The Riddler was a very interesting interpretation, definitely a far cry from the Jim Carrey version in 1995's Batman Forever, where they just kind of made him definitely more of a Zodiac killer type of character. And in that it was pretty decent. I did like the portrayal, maybe a little over the top with the serial killer horror aspect about it, because in my mind I'm always keeping thinking that probably the perfect on-screen Riddler would be this version slightly toned down with or I should say slightly toned up in terms of the goofiness, combined with Jim Carrey's version slightly toned down on the goofiness. If you found a good balance, I think that would be the perfect on-screen Riddler. But but Paul Dano, not gonna lie, I really enjoyed his performance through the majority of the movie. So things I didn't really care for all that much. I did think the movie was a little overly long. Particularly, I think the first part of the movie was great, and towards the end got really good. The middle of the movie definitely slowed down immensely. I remember at one point, I kind of felt it was starting to drag a little bit, and I even paused the movie, take a quick take a quick break, and it's just kind of like, how far am I in the movie? I got to be close to the end, and it's like, oh well, no, I'm only about halfway through the movie, 'cause
It was
this
long.
yeah, because like I talked with my with another buddy of mine at lengths about this. He actually works in film, and he basically said that this movie follows more of a 6-act structure rather than a traditional 3-act structure. It's where a movie would typically end, this movie keeps going, and I remember
like we also call it extended arcs in the film community. So it's like an extended arc where it should have just been one arc, and if you wanted to divide it up, you would have arc 2, arc 3, whatever.
Exactly.
They were like, we're having fun. Why stop here?
Yeah, exactly. So you have that going on, and within the middle part of that film, I definitely felt like, okay, there were definitely some ideas in the movie that were being presented, but I didn't think were as explored as well as I think they could have been. Particularly, you have the scene. Okay, we're going spoilers, right? This
is a complete spoiler. I mean, you should have seen it at this point. I'm like,
oh right, yep, complete spoilers. So like you get to the scene, where Bruce Wayne is talking to Carmine Falcone, and is just sort of like, oh, your parents, particularly your dad. Well, he wasn't really on the up and up as much as the public believed him to be, and sort of this moment where Bruce Wayne's worldview is just sort of shattered. It's like in his mind now, his entire mission is effectively a lie. And I thought from there the movie was going to go in a direction where he was maybe even going to decide, okay, maybe I'm not going to be Batman anymore if my mission is a lie, and then through some other events, it's going to be kind of like he has to sort of rediscover his own mission at that point, where it's just kind of like, because towards the end, because specifically at the end of the movie, it's very clear that his motivations have slightly changed. He's like, okay, I can no longer just be about vengeance. I gotta be, hope to a degree too. Which we got that scene towards the end. He was carrying the woman over to the helicopter like pad or whatever. She like grabs his shoulder and he touches her hand. I was like, yeah, that's great. I love stuff like that. I think some of Batman's best moments in comic animation, whatever, is when he's actually just sitting down with people and reassuring them. These are always good moments. So I thought the movie was going to go in a bit of a direction like that, but then that scene is just immediately followed up with the scene in the hospital after Alfred had been exploded.
I love that. Alfred has been exploded.
Alfred had been exploded, and then he just kind of tells Bruce, is like, I mean, yeah, your dad made a mistake, but he was still a good guy. And it's just kind of like, oh, okay, so this existential crisis is now over. So there were definitely elements in the movie like that where I was just kind of like, you presented some good ideas, but you didn't explore them well enough. Maybe in future films, I don't know. But the movie definitely it threw a lot at us where I'm just kind of like, I think you could have, even in a way, taken some of these elements and just made a completely like a whole new film out of it. And like save some of the stuff for sequels, perhaps. Yeah. Another thing I thought was like, some missed opportunities was, not even just about in a 3-hour movie, more or less, Alfred was hardly in it, this is Alfred was hardly in it. I mean, Alfred is such a big part of.
I thought I was the only one that noticed that.
Yeah,
Alfred in this movie more.
Alfred's such a big part of the mythos and stuff, and like, even Tim Burton utilized Alfred more than Matt Reeves did.
Well, we could just say, Joe, not to interrupt you, but just to put this idea in your head, he was taking care of Wayne Industries by himself because Bruce wasn't even going to the board meetings. So technically, he was busy running the house, running the business.
Accurate. Alfred was pretty much running Wayne Industries and whatnot. But at the same time, it's like, maybe give us a little bit more of that, even if it was just a flashback sequence at some point of him even training Bruce, because we find out that this particular iteration of Batman, we're not dealing with Christian Bale's Ninja Batman or anything like that. This is
No
street
League of
brawler
Assassins, Ra's al Ghul interactions.
Yeah, we're not getting any of that. The movie basically states that Alfred trained Bruce how to fight. That's it. And I'm just kind of like, one thing I've always wanted to see out of the Alfred character when it comes to film specifically, in those interpretations, and is seeing that that version of Alfred that was part of the Queen's Royal Guard and stuff like that. Getting to see him just like totally whoop someone's ass. There's the I can't remember what issue it is, but there's that one scene, maybe it was
in Deceased he had a moment.
I know, yeah. In Deceased, he had a moment
because he literally showed how badass he was in the Wayne manner.
I'm thinking maybe it's an Injustice or something like that.
Yeah, I think the most recent one for me is definitely that scene in Deceased. I was like, oh,
yeah. But even
don't mess with Alfred.
Injustice, where he like lays the smackdown on Superman when he takes the the super powered pill and stuff like that, I'm just like, Alfred can throw down. He can totally throw down. It's definitely something the films have never really explored. And I just would have liked a little bit more out of Alfred, because the relationship between Bruce and Alfred is a very very important one. And so between those few things, this is probably the only things that I can really say that I disliked about the movie. Is I think it could have been a little shorter. The narrative could have been a little tighter in some places. Some things I think could have been omitted and saved for other films. And just overall more Alfred, because in terms of everything else, like I said, the cinematography was on point and stuff. I really liked the rain and the yellows in the film and stuff, and everything that it had to do in terms of its story with adapting to Long Halloween. That's always one thing that's always really interesting too, is seeing how two different directors can take essentially the same story, because even The Dark Knight was based to a degree on the Long Halloween with the Two-Face stuff, and just watching two different directors take the same story and make something completely different out of it is really cool. And yeah, I think that's kind of where I'm at. I know it's a little all over the place, but it
was a 3-hour movie. Yeah,
it is a 3-hour movie, and stuff. And in that, at the very end of it, I think it was a very enjoyable film. I definitely would even say I love the fact that this was a detective noir Batman movie. That's something we've never seen before. Really, we've seen some Batman movies touch on the detective stuff a little bit, but not to the degree in this. Like, I've always wanted to see that Batman that can, take the riddle and almost solve it on the spot, like, for the police and stuff like that. Which, Bruce did in Batman Forever, all the way back in 1995. So it's been a while, and I still can't call that movie detective noir. So in that, I really like that was actually brought to the forefront of the movie. Like, the opening of the movie, I think, is probably my favorite opening movie to a Batman film.
Yeah, like
just
music
hands
and
down. I love the mood. I love the atmosphere. I like the fact that the criminals see, the bat signal in the sky. And then they just, they start to cower away because they see the darkness. They're like, is he there? Is he not there? And stuff like that. And then, he comes across, the clown people terrorizing the guy. And from there, he just straight up brutalizes them. And I was like, from that, the look, the tone, the voice. I loved Pattinson's, dark Batman voice. Trying to think what else.
Did you love the fact that he didn't sound like Christian Bale, like he was chain smoking to the point where his throat was going to fall out?
Yeah, no. This one definitely reminded me a little bit more of Keaton, where it was just like a lower toned version of his regular voice. Christian Bale's voice is always an interesting point of discussion too, because you go back and you watch Batman Begins, and he does it a little bit, but it's not as bad is
because it
what
hurt.
did
He
with
was
Dark
like,
Knight.
as a voice actor, I'm telling you, you cannot sustain that. That is not possible. He was
Oh
literally
no,
hurting his
I'm pretty
voice.
positive at least once or twice, dude had to have gotten laryngitis on set.
Yep.
Like, but
Without
I'm
a
not sure
doubt. But
why
you know,
he
he's a
was.
method actor, so he probably just like, no, it's just my craft, you know. Let's talk like this. Like, it's really weird.
I mean, I wouldn't have been surprised if you would have said that Christian Bale, you know, smoked a 3-pack a day before filming.
He probably
Dark Knight scenes.
he was high the entire movie. Like,
I mean, he could. I mean, he could have been. You know, he could have been. We know how crazy he can get there in Hollywood land.
yeah.
But yeah. In terms of like where this kind of goes as far as a Batman movie, I definitely feel like because of like the detective noir stuff and everything, this is easily the most comic accurate Batman film we've ever had. Not necessarily the best movie with Batman in it, but the best Batman movie itself, if that makes sense. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm sitting on it. You know, I mean, I've watched it a couple times now. It gets better with each viewing. Now that I know where everything's going and leading and stuff like that. And I know they already announced a sequel, and I can't wait to see a sequel. I know Matt Reeves kicked around maybe trying to tackle Mr. Freeze
Wow.
as a villain. I would like to see Mr. Freeze done justice. You know, maybe get Patrick Stewart before he dies, because you know I think he would have always been a good Mr. Freeze. But
Well, he's in Picard right now, so he's still kicking, sir.
Oh yeah, I mean I know he's still kicking.
Sir
I'm saying
get
the guy before he dies.
His name, Sir Patrick Stewart.
Sir Patrick Stewart.
He is knighted. He is now Sir Patrick Stewart.
So yeah, but that's where I sit on the movie. So you know, I'll go ahead and.
Okay, I mean, no, I agree with everything you said. I really like this movie. I really like this movie. And when I first saw it, I had the whole, oh yes, this is Seven, the movie Seven, and the remake where like, you know, Brad Pitt's gonna run through it any second and look in the box and scream because his wife's head's in there. I had that, but this movie also gave me, remember that movie The Spirit? From like 2007 to 2008.
Oh my god, with Samuel L. Jackson as the octopus or something like that.
So yeah, some of the tone and some of the like voiceover just gave me The Spirit like vibes. Not saying The Spirit was the best movie in the world. I'm just saying it gave me that, the aesthetic and just the voiceover. Sometimes my mind just went to that movie. It's just what happened.
The only thing I truly remember about the Spirit movie is the trailer that has the Trans-Siberian Orchestra Christmas Carol on it.
Like I said, it wasn't the greatest movie, Joe. It was not.
What does Christmas have to do with The Spirit? I don't know. But.
It was not the best movie. I'm just saying. There was a lot of unnecessary violence in The Spirit, which also happened in the Batman movie. So, you know, there are little things like that were just triggering me. I do like that they were channeling Eartha Kitt with Selena Kyle, you know, in this movie, because I was getting a lot of the, you know, obviously not the campiness of the Adam West Batman and you know, her Catwoman, but basically her sassiness and the way she would interact with Bruce. I just got Eartha Kitt vibes. So I thought that was really cool. So I think Zoe did a really good job. I thought they were going to keep her as a prostitute, like in year one. Instead of like a bar girl, you know, I was like, because I thought it would have made more sense why she was. I mean, I get that her friend, what happened with her friend was messed up, and you know, her mother, you know, supposed to be married by being murdered, and then learning that, you know, who her father was, or that her father probably had something to do with it. Blah blah blah. I get all that. It did show that Selena is unstable, but I think the thing about this movie is so many people were unstable in this movie. I mean
it's Gotham City. Gotham City just. Alone, you live there long enough, you become unstable.
You do.
I think what was it? Jim Gordon was probably the most put together guy in the entire movie.
But I mean, he had problems probably at home, so you could tell he was having issues too. But like, yeah, you know, he was the best friend of Bruce. I thought that was cool.
Route. You know, I mean, if they wanted to go the year one route, they could have showed us that he was cheating on his wife. But you know, we didn't get that part.
Well, in some versions, though, remember she was cheating on him, so it really depends on which storyline or which universe you're following, because there were times when his wife was actually getting it on with a lot of people, and he knew about it, but he wouldn't divorce her. And it was almost like he was punishing her by not divorcing her. Like, I know you're doing it, bitch, but so yeah, it just depends on what storyline. But I do agree that they did make Gordon out to be the most stable. I will say you touched on something that I thought about. And compared it to another movie again. So like the scene where we find out that Bruce's mother had mental issues. And, they wanted to keep it under the wraps because, this is the Wayne, dynasty image, whatever, this is who we are in the public. We can't have somebody crazy, people won't come to us. They won't rely on us when we do so much good for the city. So, Bruce's father, Thomas, trying to pay off Falcone and them to, do what they do. What was really interesting to me is I was reminded of when Alfred started telling Bruce, yeah, I kind of knew, but your dad was a good man. It brought me Spider-Man 3 vibes from that damn butler and that damn scene where, they're talking and he's like, oh, yes, your father. Yeah, when he was Goblin, he died by his own blade. Basically, Spider-Man, your friend Peter that you hate has nothing to do with it. I meant to tell you that in, movies 2 and 1, but I was busy. The butler. I'm like, the fucking butler again.
No. The butler, he was waiting. He was waiting for Harry to get all scarred up and stuff and practically, and just, go out and cause terror and try to kill people and stuff. That's what he was waiting for. He was waiting for Harry to just like, snap.
That's what I got that vibe when Alfred started saying, basically implying that he already knew all this, and you're late to the party, Bruce. I was like, oh no, we're back in the room with Harry and the butler. So yeah, I did have that Spider-Man 3 vibe from that scene. I don't like that because again, Alfred is one of the best characters for me in the Batman universe. Like, oh yeah, hands down.
I still haven't gotten over or forgiven Tom King for killing him off.
You mean from City of Bane?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was a mess. But I literally, it's not that I disliked this Alfred. I just agree with you 1,000,000,000%. He was not in it enough to be as effective as he needed to be, especially as a presence in Bruce's life. Now, I get what they were doing because he was trying to be a father figure, the father figure to Bruce, but Bruce already had a daddy and he's pissed because his daddy is dead and he was gunned down and he wants revenge. And so stop being my dad. I got what I needed from you. Take care of the house. Make sure the business is still thriving so I can go out and do my stuff and get away from me. That's literally the relationship that they were having for most of that movie. So like, I guess Alfred's disappearance or lack of presence I took it as we were seeing it more through Bruce's perspective. That's what he wanted, which is why we didn't see, him, if we're looking at it from that, from a writing standpoint, we're seeing it from the perspective of Bruce and not from
Bruce pretty much the entire movie, just about, outside of like a few scenes with the Riddler here and there, so that could be a thing, where it's just kind of like he wants that lack of presence of Alfred at the moment because because again, this is a Batman that's so into his anger and stuff like that, and his mission, and
he's clouded by it.
I mean, he's even out. He's even out as Batman. Like we get more Batman in this movie than any other version of Batman film that we've ever seen, and it's really interesting. But I remember in the back of my mind too, where Alfred is telling Bruce like, "Hey, just so you know, the company's kind of starting to flop and stuff.
Yep.
And if you're not careful, guy, you're gonna run out of money." And he's like, "I don't care what happens to my money, Alfred." I'm like, "You're gonna care when you need to do some car repairs."
I was like, "Are you kidding me?"
You run out of some grapple guns. Alfred, get me more grapple hooks. Wayne, we're out of cash.
So sorry, we're broke now. Like, they're repossessing the house. But no, I just that was my point about explaining his absence, as a viewer standpoint of, I just told myself, well, Bruce didn't want to go to the board meetings. He didn't want to talk to investors. He doesn't want to go mingle with people. So poor Alfred, who should not be educated enough I'm not saying he's not, but should not be in a position where he's educated enough to be the
he's
CEO.
intelligent, man. He probably learned the business.
Oh no, he is. But what I'm
bit,
saying,
but,
I'm not saying he's not. I'm saying he shouldn't have to be because it's not his role. It's like
it shouldn't have to be.
Yeah,
but I think
so he should not have to even think about that stuff. You know,
but I think this does leave room open for for the sequel and stuff like that, where maybe we're gonna get another interpretation of Lucius Fox and to do all of the Wayne Enterprise run stuff. While Bruce has to maybe just periodically go in, because if there's one thing this movie definitely left me on the ending portion where Bruce is talking about how he has to be more than vengeance, he has to be hope and stuff like that too. I kind of took that as he's not talking just about Batman, he's also talking about maybe even continuing his parents' philanthropy work. That's also a big part.
Yeah, which I would love if that was a thing, because I've always had a problem with some versions of the comics with Batman that he wasn't more involved, and like he's helping Gotham in the shadows, but he's not really helping Gotham during the day when they really need it. So that was always been a problem for me. But let me kind of shift gears. What did you think about Riddler as a whole? I know you gave me a little bit of a brief oversight of what you thought. I thought he was mousy as hell when we got the reveal. Like this little, and again, I guess because serial killers can be mousy. Like we see, actual when they're arrested, they actually look like very non-imposing people, but they're just evil as hell. So on that, I guess, realistic viewpoint, yeah, this guy actually is disturbed as hell, and I could see him being a serial killer. But I guess for me, I was like, him sitting there at the coffee shop, like ordering something, and he's like, "Hey, what's up?" Like they're coming to get it. And I'm like, really?
And don't forget, before they even tackle him, he goes, "I ordered pie."
I was like, "This is crazy." I guess it's for me. It's such a reinvention of this character because that's not something I see him doing.
Definitely a different take on the character. I mean, first off, I love the riddles. I love the riddles in this movie. I think they're absolutely great and worthy of a Batman movie. I had trouble solving them in my head a bit. The only one I got off the top of my head was the Joker's riddle, and I'm just like, that was an easy one.
The thumb drive was interesting though. Yeah, I thought that was.
I kind of like the thumb drive. That was pretty. That was actually very. They got very creative with the riddles in this. I mean, upon his introduction, I really did enjoy this new Zodiac killer take on the Riddler and stuff. That opening scene with him too specifically was just like. It was wow, it was something else, and like you're just like the it's got a lot of tension and stuff. Like he's really good at Matt Reeves really brought that out. You're just seeing the guy, he's like watching the TV, watching his numbers plummet, and he's just like sipping his drink, and you just see the Riddler in behind it, and all of a sudden it's what? I was just like, I was actually startled. I was like, geez. And then I that actually got me to a point where I was sitting on the couch and I'm just like,
imagine hearing that sound coming from your Bluetooth at the drive-in. Your Bluetooth hand-free speakers. That was very nice. The hell is that?
It was definitely a jump moment, and I was just like, that was great. So I loved, like I said, I loved Paul Dano's performance as the Riddler, specifically when he was in the costume, and the messages to Batman, to a degree, it did feel like Matt Reeves was challenged a little bit, where maybe a Warner Brothers exec, or maybe he was talking with Christopher Nolan, and it's just kind of like, Christopher Nolan's like, hey, you know how people said they couldn't understand Bane? I dare you to make something even harder to understand. That's my challenge to you. Let's see if you can muffle his voice so bad, but they still don't need subtitles.
And we're gonna film most of these scenes in the dark, so you won't see anything coming because you don't know what's in the dark.
Yeah, exactly. So like I will say the muffled voice was a little much. You're just talking. I've been waiting for you, Batman. And then I'm just like, okay, then that's just what it reminded me of. It kind of reminded me of Bane a little bit, but I still like the aesthetic. I still like the look. Little over the top, but for the purpose of the movie, I think it worked. Where they started to kind of lose me with the character a little bit was, of course, after he was caught.
His final plan, right? His final plan was just
not so much his final plan, but more so the scene where they're in Arkham Asylum, and he's sitting down with Batman, and he's kind of like, now he's revealing himself, and turns out he's just kind of this sort of squirrely guy, and like that entire intimidation factor just now suddenly deflates, and it's like anything I was worried about this guy is now completely like, oh, he's just crazy, he's a lunatic. Whereas there was a confidence level to him in the costume, which I mean, depending on what his diagnosis is, could totally makes sense. But like the one thing about the Riddler that I've always enjoyed, from the comic perspective, is he's not actually someone who's extremely crazy. He's just really narcissistic. Like he just wants to prove that he's smarter than everybody else. Like that is his general motivation.
He's the smartest guy in the room. Yep.
Exactly. Like, him coming to Gotham is not unlike Bane coming to Gotham. Because he is, Riddler is like, he's just like probably the smartest dude in the room almost at all times. Then he hears about the world's greatest detective, and he's like, I want to be a super, I was like, I'm going to become a super villain just to prove that
just to prove I'm smarter than the Batman. Yeah.
So taking the Riddler in that direction when he's out of the suit, again, Paul Dano does a great job with the material he's given. But
he was
like I said,
appropriately mouthy.
It did kind of ruin it for me a little bit, especially where it's just kind of like, he's talking about, man, like, we did it. We won, and at first I'm like, oh, this is being recorded and he's trying to like frame Batman or something, right? I thought that was like just another part of his plan where he's trying to, get Batman twisted up in his scheme. And then it's like, oh no, he thinks Batman has been helping him this whole time. And, then Batman is like, no, guy, I've been trying to stop you this whole time. Are you okay? Like, do you need a hug or something?
He has a tantrum though. He legit has a tantrum. And
exactly.
Like, wow.
And that's where I was just kind of like when he did that, when he's just like, no.
That was some CW writing. We see that with a lot of villains on the CW. Most recently, my Charm guys on here know we just saw that a week or two ago with one of the major villains they had this season so far, literally threw a tantrum. A legit tantrum because you're like, well, I gotta do it. Well, you weren't supposed to be here. You're messing up my plan. It's just like, really?
Yeah. So in that, I think they could have done a lot better with what he was getting.
Yeah.
I think the could have been a little stronger for his character at that point.
Yeah, I agree with you. I guess my problem with the plan, and this is probably my bias, is because it's almost the same plan, except for it being held on election night to stop, what was her name? Rial, I think her name was, from becoming the new elected mayor. Yeah. It was so Batwoman. That was a Batwoman plot. That was what we saw. Spoiler, with the whole Poison Ivy storyline. We're gonna just go and blow up the dam. And I think it was Gotham Harbor in this one, but the outcome's the same. We're gonna flood the city to keep, basically make a point. So the villain can make a point, basically. The only difference is that it was executed in this movie. So like half of the damn Gotham City is underwater now.
Yes. That I was about to say that's the only difference is in this movie was actually executed well and stuff like that,
Mm-hmm.
And
not to say in Batwoman they didn't flood a little bit, but it only did like the business industrial district, which is what she kind of wanted, and it wasn't at a huge level. But like in this movie, it's like, wow. I mean, we are legit now Atlantis.
Basically what you're saying is from a production perspective, it was cheaper to do it this way.
Yeah, pretty much. But I'm like that. I'm like, are we doing an Atlantis tie-in? Is that what we're trying to do here? We're bringing in the reason to bring in Aquaman in this universe, since we know that the Batman is not in the same
just riding one of the waves in, like, yeah. All Jason Momoa in there.
If Jason Momoa popped up, then I would be like,
rides the surf, jumps in front of Batman, like Pattinson, and just welcome to the multiverse.
Well, as long as Ezra Miller's not in it, I'm cool.
The rumor mill is they are refilming all of his scenes with a completely new actor. I don't know how true it is. Probably be really expensive, but some part of me is just kind of like, maybe.
Yeah. I don't know if Ray's on here today, but because I know he thinks that Ezra's hot, but I've always said that man creeped me out, and I was right. He just gave me creepy vibes.
Just slightly gliding Iris's hair off the side. Just look at her.
Look,
you're gonna
I'd
be
still
my
find a way to
wife
smack his
someday,
ass.
Iris.
I would still look. I'd have something that self-destructed or something on contact. I'd rather die than be touched by you, creepy ass. Um, but no. Okay, so I'm trying to think of some other points in the movie. Like I said, I really enjoyed the whole relationship, non-relationship, potential relationship between Bruce and Selena, because it actually, in every version of the comics, it's the same. They aren't together because they disagree on how to handle situations. Because Selena's a lot more like, let's just kill him than Batman is, you know? So I do like that they kept that, and it was actually more of an organic thing. You actually saw the moment. For me, I saw the moment she snapped, and that was when she realized that her dad was the one that killed her mom. And it was like, oh, okay, I'm gonna fucking kill you. And Bruce is like, but maybe we need to take a moment and just not be that. But
I will say, I do want to add though, because when it comes to the Batwoman Catwoman relationship, I do want to note how brilliantly Pattinson captured the fact that he does not really know how to talk to people well. Because like here he is, he's faced with Zoe Kravitz. Like almost every scene, I've seen this movie a few times now. And like every scene, every time he's like near her, even the first time, is just kind of like, "Hi, I'm gonna check your contacts."
I've never had a girlfriend or been late in my life. How do I do this?
like even when he catches her at the first crime scene of the Riddler and stuff at the current mayor before election or whatever. You know, and then he like pins her on the table, and he's just like, looks like he's just leaning in, like, do I do this? Is this right?
It was very awkward for somebody who's
exactly like the first few times was very awkward until he got a little more comfortable with her.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah, all of that was a mess.
But the minute she kissed him, though, you know, he was just like.
He's like, oh, I found something new in my utility belt. It's called a bat boner. But no, I just thought their whole relationship to me was interesting and funny. So
it was off. It was off, but in the best way possible.
Yeah, and I think it really worked. And I really liked how organically they look like two people that could have a relationship.
They had really great chemistry.
Yeah, they really did
in the film. And I, of course, you know, even when it comes to Bruce, like, you know, Batman talking to Selena was even hilarious, you know, because after her first encounter with Falcone, and he's just like, wait, are you in a relationship with Falcone? Does he put you in the doggy style? And then, you know, in her mind, she's just like, I'm mad at you now, and I'm not going to explain myself.
Yep. I mean, you know, women. But no, like I think that it really showed, if you really think about it, because in the comics, again, Batman is the best fighter, the most intelligent person, detective, charismatic, rich, can get any lady he wants, and has slept with probably all of Gotham and other cities. In this version, he's like so single focused on revenge.
Might get the Paul Dini interpretation, you know, and Bruce is looking at young Barbara Gordon like, hey, when you turn 18, girl.
Nah, I told you we're not talking about that. That's freaking weird. But no, I know that's your favorite storyline, by the way, in Batman's.
Yeah, my favorite story. You know, it's just kind of like sitting there every time they talk about it, and I'm just like, hey, is this Chris Hansen? I think you need to investigate Bruce Wayne. Yeah, thanks.
No. No. I mean, maybe child services should be called. I mean, I'm surprised that Gordon just doesn't beat the hell out of Batman whenever that happens, but you know, whatever.
He probably doesn't know about it. Like, you know, I mean, I don't think Bruce is gonna be like, hey Jim, come here, guy. Just want to tell you real quick. Your daughter, nice and tight. Love it.
Till the killing joke happens, and then we're just done with that. But no, like, I think that I don't know. I kind of feel like Bruce was so single focused that he didn't develop as a child or a teenage. It's like he never went through puberty correctly because he was still like, I need to learn to kill these fuckers. I need to learn to kill these fuckers. What is that feeling I have when I see this girl? Yeah. Oh, is that porn? I don't have time for that because the porn is not teaching me to kill someone. So it's like he is completely socially inept, and it's absolutely, it works for this character. It really does.
Yeah. I mean,
it really does.
Because that's effectively who Batman is too. It's like when you get down into his psyche and like, his entire psychology and stuff, Batman was effectively born the minute his parents died. That was stolen innocence.
And so some will argue that Bruce
never learned how to properly, he never learned how to properly grieve his parents. He never learned how to, really deal with people because he was the Prince of Gotham, the richest kid in the world, so the media was always after him. So he was effectively locked up, and somewhat of a prisoner in his own house to a degree. So he never learned actual social interaction with anybody other than Alfred, who was like, all right, now I'm going to teach you how to break this fucker's mouth.
I would have loved to have seen how that conversation went. Alfred, I miss my parents.
I said, definitely teach me how to kill. We talked about some missed opportunities with Alfred for sure.
Yeah, I really want to know how to break someone's head in half. I'm like, come on, man. No, I think that they're so weird because I've always been of the opinion that Batman in the comics was crazy. And I've always said this because he never went through therapy. He never went through grief counseling.
Crazy. It's like his first thing is like, he goes and he puts himself through like the most strenuous workout routines, build himself up. And I'm not going to lie, like, dude's probably on steroids. Like, he's got performance enhancers. There's
no way he's like lifting 200 ton. I'm sorry.
He's not a better human. Condition naturally? Nah, sir. Nah, my guy. You doping. You blood doping. We know it's fact.
Like we know what you're doing, but no, but I think,
but he's just like, dedicating, some of it, his riches to dressing up like a bat and punching people. It's like, I'm sorry, that's not a normal, healthy expression of your anger, sir. It's like, you got some problems.
Yeah, it's like he has road rage all the time. And like, what's so weird to me is that so now if he has mental issues, we can actually say it's because he inherited it from his mother, because they've already shown that she had issues. Spoiler alert, guys, for Picard that's happening right now. Spoiler, plug your ears. Picard is going through the same thing because we've learned that his mother has mental issues. So, and spoiler. So Bruce, like, having that in his family and not even knowing, he didn't realize his mother was, like, for all intents and purposes, she is crazy. And I don't understand what I guess I'm not aware of what the actual diagnosis was. I don't know if she was schizophrenic. I don't know what it was.
It depends on, like, because I believe in the Batman Earth 1 books, she was schizophrenic.
Yeah, I thought she was too, but I'm not entirely sure, because I thought she could have been more like Moon Knight and have DID, which also has, depending on which personality you're in, could also exhibit the same characteristics. So, but either way, she was not well. And they took great, and they basically took great strides to try and hide it to the point where it was illegal. But I'm thinking genetically, if you have a parent that's bipolar, sometimes they can pass it on to their kids. My personal medical condition, which is an autoimmune disease, I passed to my daughter. So like Bruce can be said to be a little unstable because he could have gotten it from his mother. Not just a trauma, it could have actually been genetically passed, which would make him a lot scarier down the road if he starts exhibiting signs. So I think that is a very interesting plot point they can play with, honestly. They never did in the comics.
First scene of Batman 2, he like pummels a guy and then he takes his thumbs and pushes him and scoops out his eyeballs. Didn't kill him though, comes back to the Batcave. Alfred's like, the fuck, Master Bruce? What was that? I didn't kill him. It's okay. I just scooped his eyeballs out.
I was like, it's fine. That's completely acceptable. And in his mind,
I didn't kill him. He's just therapeutic for life now.
Yeah. Well, and I don't think he understood how aggressive he was coming off, because the scene where this guy was being beat down, I think he was being mugged in the subway. Or in the subway or on the corner by the newspaper stand or something like that. And he goes and he like really hurts all the people that are like attacking him, and then he's like, "You're not gonna do that to me too," because he was like, "Oh," because at that point nobody knew.
That scene was great. I love the choreography and the fighting scenes in this Batman movie. It was definitely, like I said, this is brawler Batman. Like, he lives by the martial, one of the premise, or one of the precepts of the martial arts is you put the other guy down. It's like, you start this, you're going down, you're not getting back up unless it's in handcuffs. If the police come by, we'll see about that. But yeah, I dug it. Or even then, when he like caved the dude's face in towards the end of the movie, when he was just like, "Oh man, I've been shot. I'm kind of weak, and what's oh hey, adrenaline." Then we got Berserker Batman.
Well, okay. One other thing I will say, I know we're doing more of year one, but I love the fact that he didn't have his fancier tech. I love the fact that we were starting, because I'm a huge fan of the previous sci-fi TV series, Warehouse 13. And if you ever watched that,
oh my God, that was such a good show.
I love it so much.
Sci-Fi Channel so much.
And I mean, some of the tech that he was using is something I could see Arnie giving them, when they were going out. And so I'm like, I love that they kept to that. It's so like technologically steampunk for me. And I felt like it fit into the aesthetic of this movie. And I was really excited. Because I think it would have done something to me if he had all the polished gadgets and like the bat, mobile was like,
that's definitely something that I suspect is coming later, especially when he learns how to replenish his cash properly.
When he learns how to go to work. Go make that money, Bruce. But no, but I will say what I also loved about this movie, the overall theme of him starting off as a vigilante, knowing he's a vigilante, which is not something we normally see. Because if you watched all the seasons of Arrow on the CW, he was a whole ass vigilante. But when anybody else came to be a vigilante, he's like, "You can't do that in my city," and I'm like. Like, you don't have a badge. So like, I love that Batman was using his connection to Gordon to actually be able to go to crime scenes and actually help out on cases. He couldn't just show up and do it himself. Yes, he can go beat the hell out of somebody in the shadows, but when he wanted to get involved, he had to have Gordon's connections. He didn't just roll in because he's Batman. And I love that. I absolutely love that. And I love by the end of this movie, people started seeing him as, like you said, hope and hero. It wasn't just given to him at the beginning of the damn movie. So I did love that. So I thought that was really well done.
Yeah. I will say though, I did find it interesting, like how the police like tolerated Batman being around. It's like, he'd show up to the crime scenes because Gordon would like flip on the signal and stuff like that. And then, the police would just be like, "Hey, like even the police commissioner coming in, like looking at Gordon like, "The fuck, guy? What are you doing? Not the police commissioner.
I love that
kind of calls." And then Jim Gordon's just like, but Batman, he's cool.
That's basically, he's like he's my masked buddy. He won't tell me who the hell he is either. But you know what? We BFFs. Like, but now
there were definitely some scenes where I'm just like, he's like, he's leaning in. And he's like, "Go ahead and punch me in the face."
But I mean, at the same time, you can kind of see some of the detectives at GCPD. I get, because they work their ass off to get promoted, and this guy just rolling in and solve crime, and it's like, really,
right? But, at least deputize him or something. It's like, I don't know, but like they definitely tolerated him more than I thought they would. Specifically because he's only in year 2, and like, he only really has rapport with Jim Gordon at this point. So
that might be something that changes when Gotham Knights comes out, which is actually worrying me a lot. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Definitely interesting stuff.
Okay, let's look at some of the comments too. I didn't mean to cut you off, just so we can kind of roll in, because I know you guys have been saying stuff. Finally, a Batman movie where he finally gets to be a detective. Yep, no live action movie has done this. I agree. That's absolutely true. Agree. Yep.
Like I said, best Batman movie to date. Not necessarily best movie with Batman, but best Batman movie.
I mean, it's not. I mean, my heart is always going to be with Michael Keaton's Batman, only because it was
Batman Returns.
But think about it. Like, I love the fact that we finally had a Batman who actually saw Gotham at night, because before that we only had the Adam West version, and it never was nighttime. I mean, Alfred kept gardening, for God's sake. So it was ridiculous. So it was campy for what it was. I know it was the 60s, 70s, whatever, but like
we look back on it fondly, but oh my gosh, like I remember I've told some people, it's like, but can we really say it was a good show?
I don't know, really.
I get attacked constantly for that opinion. I'm like, sorry, it's like the original season of Power Rangers to me.
You know what it reminded me of, Joe? Remember Thumbbat?
Well written.
Have you ever seen like the Thumb parodies, like Thumbbat?
Oh God, Thumbbat Forever and
Thumbbat
stuff.
Forever. So that's what the Adam West show
was
like for me, watching Thumbbat.
Yeah, exactly. You know, I mean, heck, even when I tell people that, you know, I occasionally watch Batman and Robin, how can you watch that? That movie's horrible. What? It reminds me of the Adam West Batman days. You know,
yep. Just with added nipples on the suit.
Day Adam West film.
And those nipples were very pronounced. At the beginning, the music was dark as hell, which I enjoyed. Yep, the Riddler was kind of goofy to me, but a good Riddler. At the end, the jail scene, I thought it was Two-Face at first. I thought it was Joker the entire time because they kept hinting towards Joker in this entire movie. They were dropping little nuggets of Joker.
Probably the one aspect of the movie where I was just kind of like, oh my God, they're showing us Joker. They're hinting towards Joker. It's like I have a bit of Joker fatigue in the comics and in film, because it's like every director has to do their own touch on Joker, and I'm just like, can we let the guy rest? He had his own movie, for God's sake. It's like, I want to see, like, I really hope Matt Reeves follows through on, you know, the idea that he wants to do Mr. Freeze, or at the very least, what I would love to see, maybe he's even the Scarecrow in this universe.
Yeah,
I think that would be a perfect villain.
I just don't want Bane right now. Please don't I don't feel like watching Batman have his like back broken and be snapped like a wishbone over his knee.
The only way I would accept Bane in this current point in time is if you did comic Bane with the Venom and all, but actually still smart, and actually hire a Spanish guy.
I mean, touche.
Like, can we get that at least? Come on.
Yeah. I like the movie, but I would have liked Batman's tech to be just a little bit more fantastical. James Bond could have done the same tech feats, and Batman should have better tech than James Bond. Like I said, like I just made the point of earlier, I like that they didn't, because it kind of showed where he is right now. Like, we don't need to have the flashier stuff. He's just starting out. This is his year one. So, I mean, I get that everybody's so used to seeing that. But honestly, guys, I'm tired of, like, even I think Adam West put me off of that forever, because Adam West, you know, was like one of the first like introductions to Batman I ever had as a child. And just seeing the fact that Batman had everything in that utility belt, everything within that damn utility belt, it just kind of puts you off, you know?
Well, plus, I was gonna say, the way the movie framed it, it really seems like this is tech that he's effectively building himself.
Yep.
Versus the tech that he utilizes from
Fox or somebody else, but would have.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I think if you introduce, you know, Fox in the second movie and he starts getting those more fantastical designs out there, you know, we're gonna start to see Pattinson's Batman become more high tech over the course of, you know, future films and whatnot.
Yeah.
I just want the Lucius Fox. I do like the fact, like, yeah, you even go back and you read year one, for example, and stuff. You know, his tech isn't all that fancy. It's very basic. Not. You know, he's got his grapple gun. He uses a lot of smoke and powder to, like, you know, seem like this big creature of the night and stuff like that. Which, of course, the Widening Gyre had to go ruin that, saying he pissed himself in that scene. But, you know,
I mean, when you gotta go, Joe, you gotta go. But no, I don't know. I just, like I said, I like the steampunkish feel of this movie. I just did. I'm just into that. So it is what it is.
Yeah, absolutely. You know.
Yeah, but when I heard that laugh, I knew it was the Joker. Yeah, I think all of us were like, yeah.
Oh, I mean, you didn't even need to hear the laugh. You just even saw, like, the pale hand, and it's just like, it's the Joker. Yeah. You know. But I'll be honest though, when I saw the deleted scene with the Joker, I don't know. I wasn't all that into this interpretation. You know, I don't know if it was the actor or whatnot, but he sounded like he kind of wanted to do a little bit of Heath Ledger with, like, I don't know, the voice just wasn't right. Like, I do hope, what's that actor's name? The dude from the Eternals that looks like Ezra Miller that was also recently arrested.
Oh crap. Oh my gosh, why are you doing this? Like, don't make me think of names. I'm in my 40s, damn it. I can't do things. Guys, put it in the comments below. I can't remember. So if you remember who it is, please put it in the comments. It's too much brain power for Maria.
Yeah. Well, until we get that, I'm just gonna call him other Ezra Miller.
So there, other Ezra Miller's fine. Second Ezra.
No, other Ezra Miller who also got arrested. So.
Oh, now what was his name? See, guys, I can't. Now I gotta look it up. Because I know who this is, and I can't remember. That was not him. It better not have been him. Ezra Miller is like his own class. Wasn't it Barry Cohen like that?
I don't do from Eternals.
Yeah, Barry Cohen was arrested in Dublin for public intoxication. Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's not just Ezra Miller. It's people that also look like Ezra Miller.
So if you look like Ezra Miller, you're cursed, is what you're saying. Yeah, that tracks.
Yep.
He is very, very creepy. I can see why Bella Swan left him. I hate Twilight, but that's the best comment I've ever seen. Okay. The Alfred I'm used to is the one in the Batman Forever and Batman and Robin. Yeah. There have been many good renditions of Alfred, especially in the comics. But
I mean, I'll say in the live action interpretation, kind of sucks that we're probably never going to get to see it again. But I really loved Jeremy Irons' interpretation. Yeah,
Jeremy Irons is pretty good. I mean, I didn't mind the one in Batman and Superman and Justice League. He had the appropriate amount of sass.
Exactly. Yeah, he was sassy, Alfred. We never, that's something we'd also never really seen before because I've always loved the Alfred that where Batman's trying to act all hard and Alfred's like, bro, I wiped your crack. You ain't got nothing.
Yeah. Like just shut up. Just sit down, be quiet. Yeah, like I love the interpretations where we really see that Alfred does not put up with his shit. And that's also what because I mean, if you look at Lucius Fox and Christian Bale's versions of Batman, he didn't put up with his crap either. He's like, let me tell you something.
Yeah, Mr. Fox, Lucius Fox, he knows his worth.
Yeah.
When it comes to supplying Batman with his tech.
He said, you don't have to stop having attitude, but you're not going to have it here. I'm like, many people don't know that in the comics, Alfred is a retired MI6 agent. Yeah, he actually wasn't there a show, Alfred Pennyworth? Wasn't that?
Yeah, there was the show Pennyworth.
There was a show, Pennyworth,
I haven't seen it, but I've seen the trailer. Which is really funny because that show came out after Teen Titans Go to the movies, and there was that scene where it's just like Robin was waiting for his trailer. It was just like he was getting everything, including Alfred the movie. then they did the Pennyworth thing, and I'm just like, it's accurate, it's true.
Yep. I mean, let's just let it go. Just let it go. Christian Bale's Batman voice was a dirty Harry caricature. I mean, yeah, I can see that, I guess. Well, is that
I don't think Dirty Harry growled as much,
No, remember when he was on the glass, though, his voice went kind of, when he started cutting his feet and his hand on the glass, that his voice went a little weird in Dirty Harry. So we'll say post-glass is what you're talking about.
Glass.
Yeah. And Batman 2 was announced. Yes, it was. That's exciting to hear. Nostalgia Critic made a cameo appearance in the film. Huh.
Did he?
Where? Really?
Must have been way in the background.
Yeah. Low-key conspiracy theory. When she was playing Catwoman, Eartha Kitt didn't know she was being filmed, and the film crew just followed her around during her normal daily life. Yeah.
I will accept that. I'm willing to accept that. I would love to think that's how Eartha Kitt really was. Just
why are these cameras around me? Old people always wait till the last moment to tell people things. That is not an excuse, butlers. I'm like, no.
And not even butlers. You get that's like one of the biggest movie tropes too. It's like, son, come here before my ticker goes out. I've got something important to tell you that I should have told you about 35 years ago.
Yeah, but it's just what makes me mad is like, Harry wanted to kill Peter. He was definitely determined, but Harry's housekeeper changed his mind. And he was like,
it's just like if the butler knew that, he could have eased Harry's suffering. in terms of like blaming others and stuff like that. So
he could have had his friend as a support system. He could have stopped trying to ruin Peter's life. But I was like, I cleaned your father's wounds that day, and I can tell you his wounds were self-inflicted. And I'm like, just stop.
Yeah. There is the working theory though that Sam Raimi crashed that film deliberately because he was hounded on that movie and like
I'm
he
sure
wanted to do something completely different, but the studio was like, nope, you did your movie, now you're gonna do our movie and you're gonna like it, sir. And he's like, oh yeah, well take this on for size.
The butler did it, bitches. You ever watch Clue? As long as Batwoman and Sophie Moore ain't running Gotham in this movie, I'm good. They may not be running. They might even be in Gotham. It looks like their show may not be picked up.
Yeah, they're still not renewed.
Yep. I am sad about Legends though, but the actor who plays Riddler, I think he's in that movie, The Girl Next Door. Yes. I haven't seen that. Is that good?
Oh, it's a very entertaining movie. Yeah, it's a early 2000s comedy film and stuff. It's got Emile Hirsch in it, and God, what the heck is her name? Blonde chick who is in the blonde girl who was in freaking what's that movie? Damn, I can't think of her name right now. But wait, I just had no, not that, not accepted. No, she wasn't in that one.
I love your brain process.
She was in Old School for a few seconds. She was the high school girl that that Luke Wilson slept with and didn't know she was in high school.
Alicia Cuthbert.
Yeah, Alicia Cuthbert. There you go.
Ah, okay, cool.
Yeah, she was in that movie. It's actually a really good movie. It's funny, but it's also it's got some good drama and stuff. I think it's a very well balanced movie.
Okay, I'm gonna check that. I think it was stated that this version of Riddler was supposed to be in incel. Huh.
I mean, I never really got the whole. I don't know. I didn't really get that out of his character because I mean, he definitely described his motivation well, and like I do like where he came from in terms of like what was driving him to do what he did, which was he had grown up and had so many empty and broken promises and stuff like that, and he just got fed up with it. The next person to come along always said that they were going to change the system and it was going to get better for him and stuff, and coming to hate Bruce Wayne, in that fashion was also very interesting, where it's just kind of like, the media was all over you, the billionaire orphan. He's like, you want to know what it's like to really be an orphan? Is being shoved into a room with a bunch of other kids while the rats chewed at you as you slept, and babies dying all over the place. Where was all the media and people caring about us? Kind of thing, and I do buy that. He just like fucking snapped after some time, after seeing a bunch of jacked up stuff. Who knows what else went on behind the scenes of that orphanage too while he was growing up.
Yeah, but aren't like every Batman villain an incel? If you really think about it, I mean.
Not about every Batman villain. I mean, most villains are. I mean, it just really depends on the character. Like every villain definitely has different, different motivations and stuff. Poison Ivy wants to return Gotham, or
I meant like the male villain,
a very green status, and
Poison Ivy can't technically be a complete incel. She's banging Harley Quinn.
But you could have said the same thing about Joker years ago when they were together.
I don't really know what's happening in that relationship. I don't really call that sex. I don't know what that was. That was a torture scene.
Mr. Freeze, he's just trying to, depending on the version, is just trying to resurrect his wife so he can bang her.
Yeah, true. That's true. But I mean, Bane, I don't think.
Now, Bane, he's just toxic masculinity at its peak.
Yeah, he's too in love with himself.
He just wants to pump iron and take over Gotham and just say, I'm better than the Batman.
Hello. If Bruce was kicked out of Wayne Manor, how long would it take the new owners to find the Batcave? Do you think the Bat family could operate out of the cave without the new owner's knowledge? Yes. Like, if they're like me and I go exploring the house, I'm fine. I'm gonna find that shit.
It depends on how well the door is hidden. I'm just wondering if, like, say at the end of the Christopher Nolan Dark Knight trilogy, do you think they removed the piano that opened up the secret compartment? Just saying, you know, some kid gonna go ding, ding, ding.
Well, see, I'm thinking more of I went roaming around the extensive property and came upon this cave. Like, look,
Yeah,
it's
kids are
under
gonna
the
get
house,
into some
Mom.
stuff. They're definitely, having Wayne Manor become the orphanage was definitely taking a chance.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
you could have had a brand new house built, state of the art, facility.
Having a
but no,
dinner party at Wayne Manor
get
is
the whole
always
house.
taking a chance. Oh, what are these books? I own a copy of this. Oh, the door opens. Oh, there's a cat cave down here.
No, just imagine someone like takes the book, the shelf moves, and it's just like the early Batman, where it's just like a leather latex suit by itself, and then like Catwoman's whip just hanging around as a trophy, and it's just like, huh.
You said.
Eek.
I love how you said Catwoman's whip hanging around like a trophy. See what you did there. But now that would be something that would happen, honestly, in the CW world and the Arrowverse world. Like, what's this? They'd probably look at it and be like, oh, they're into role play. Like, they wouldn't even think it was Batman. I just think a whip and a bat suit that's made out of latex. Lycra. Maybe the Batwoman writers stole from this movie. They wish they stole from this movie.
I mean, if they'd stolen from this movie, Batwoman may have been better written.
True that. The Riddler is very different in this movie than his in the comics. The Calculator may have been a better fit for the character. Oh yeah, Paul Dano played. I can see that.
It would have been pretty dope.
That'd be cool. Didn't Ezra Miller get arrested recently 3 times that we know of? Probably
Ezra Miller got arrested recently, like 3 or 4 times.
Yep, I think 2 of them were in 1 week. He just got out and then went right back into jail doing something.
Honestly, when it comes to that, I still don't know how WB hasn't come out and said, "Yeah, we're parting ways with the guy." I mean, because just in the span of his time in Hawaii, it's like he attacked a woman who was trying to sing karaoke, tackled a dude who was playing darts all in the same bar, and then of course he broke into another couple's room and threatened to kill him and whatnot, and then went to a party after he got out of prison and is like, yeah, I'm just gonna throw a chair when you tell me to leave, and cut a lady's head open with a chair. It's sensible, right? And I'm just like, no, not really.
I told you guys last year he was creepy. People need to listen. Like, there's just something about him just creeped me out. His face creeps me out. The way he talks creeps me out. He just creeps me out. If you're like alone in the house with him, I would call 911 immediately. Well, first of all, I wouldn't be alone. I'm a minority. I'm not going to lose my card. But if I didn't know he was in the house and he was suddenly in the house, I mean, I have to call 911 and then hit him with something, because like I can't. I can't. I'm into archery. I have a compound bow. I'll just take him out. I can do it.
Oh, no, I'm just waiting for the day he gets so blasted that he just puts on nothing but a trench coat and goes, "I'm the Flash."
You might be. I did see the right above you, Daisy Player. You're like, which is iconic because he spent so long with Fika Twigs. I think that was Robert Pattinson's girlfriend at one point. I don't know. I try not to stay up with celebrity relationships because I just don't care.
They're all going to be broken up in about 3 months.
And even if they're not, I mean, they're not in my marriage, my sex life, or any of that. I don't really care. Robert Pattinson can't stop playing characters who do creepy things.
I mean,
he's done some indie stuff. I will say though, even in some of the indie projects, he has had moments. Was it Water for Elephants? That there were a few moments that were like, okay, that may be a little off. But he also was in Harry Potter.
Hey, he just wanted to be a veterinarian in that movie.
True. He really did. Like the Bruce Wayne Barbara Gordon affair is as cringe as fuck. I absolutely agree with that.
That is honestly one of those things, and I've even had like discussions at length with my buddy who's a huge Batman fan about it, and like he defends it in the notion of, yeah, but like it being weird is actually the point of the relationship. I'm like, okay, cool. Then why isn't it a fucking cartoon? If it's wrong, and like, you know, Paul Dini, I guess, has even said, yeah, it's meant to be weird. And like, then why are you doing it, guy?
Like over and over again.
What's the point? It's like, I feel like he really shipped that to a degree. I really feel like the truth is he ships those two characters. But you know, people keep going, nah, bro, this ain't it. You know, and he's trying to explain it his way out of it. It's like, I don't want my characters to be perfect. Yeah, that's it. That's the real reason.
Yeah,
you know?
sure.
Like,
you're just living out your fantasy.
I'm just like, I have a feeling if we were logged onto his computer, we'd see Batman, Batgirl, Rue 34 all over the damn place.
Oh God, let's hope not. Just as long as Barbara and Selena doesn't pull a Chase Meridian who tried too damn hard with Bruce. I mean,
Nicole Kidman. I mean, you know, she did what she was supposed to. You know, she you know, Joel Schumacher rolled up to her and was just like, "What's up? You the eye candy in the movie. That's all. That's your role. That's all you do."
Val Kilmer would have really been a good. I don't know. I kind of preferred his Bruce Wayne to his Batman. Is that weird?
No, he actually did a really like Val Kilmer did a really good Bruce Wayne performance. I really like what they dug out of him. I mean, the fact that he was also the first character, like, you know, from the start of the Tim Burton movies, to get an actual story arc. I mean, granted, they cut out the majority of it, which, you know, makes the movie a little weird to watch because, you know, they definitely reference it a lot. And by the end of the movie, he clearly went through a character arc. But at the same time, I'm just kind of like, you know, I really would have loved to have seen, you know, the original Joel Schumacher cut, which actually was a little bit darker.
Yeah.
You know, in tone. I mean, he still had all the flashy lights and stuff that we see in the movie, but he was definitely trying to do a bit more of a character study with Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, it's like they always do that. They always have like the best cuts, and they just throw them away. Like they did that with Superman 2 with the Donner cut. They did it. Apparently, no matter how you feel about Justice League, the Snyder cut, was a little bit, you know, I think was a little bit better. Bruce Wayne is the mask. Batman is the real person. Yeah, that's what they've been saying in the comics for years. I've always felt like Bruce was unstable, and it always got on my nerves whenever he would get mad at other superheroes for doing the same shit that he does. Like one of the best examples of this is when he went off on Hal Jordan, because Hal Jordan like snapped and was like attacking people. And he was like, because he was being possessed. And Bruce was like, "You're irresponsible, blah, blah, blah." And I'm like, dude, you let a clown out of Arkham, let it escape Arkham like every other week. You know, I'm like, how are you going to tell somebody else they're irresponsible? Every time Joker kills someone, technically it's on you because you let him get away. So,
I mean, to a degree, I will say maybe a little bit, but at the same time, you know, you also got to kind of blame Arkham for having real crap security.
I blame Bruce because Bruce could put him somewhere outside of Arkham that he can't escape. He puts him back in the same facility where he makes friends and they keep getting him out, or he finds them to get out. So I'm like, this is your fault. That's like putting your buddy back in the frat house when he gets drunk and then wondering why he's still an alcoholic.
But to be fair too, it's like, it's not like you could just kill him, because every time the Joker has, you know, died in the comics in a very, you know, obvious way, it's like, this homie's done. Like, he ain't coming back. He still finds a way to come back.
No, I don't want him to kill him. I want them to find a way to put him in a prison that nobody knows about, where he can never get out. And that
I don't ever see that happening.
Yeah, I mean, Batman will never do that. He will never do that. So,
well, I mean, not just that. Well, because like he's still trying to work. Like in terms of Batman, he's still trying to work within the confines of, you know, of the system too, to a degree. You know, because like a big part of the reason, you know, Joker gets out from time to time too is also the system, because like the system will never put him in a high supermax security prison because he's crazy. So he's always going to get deemed, you know, crazy, and he's going to get thrown in an asylum.
But my problem with that whole thing is that normally the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different outcome. So if you keep putting him in the same place over and over again, and he gets out every other Wednesday, that is your damn fault. That is your fault. Fine, I don't care. Batman has said a million times that GCPD had flaws because they were people that were taking bribes, or people, they're on the take. They're people that are in Joker's gang that are working in GCPD and have political connections. He knows how corrupt his city is. So why are you going within the constructs of the law that you already think is damn corrupt? Put him on an island, take him to Themyscira, and drop his ass off. He won't get away. Trust me. That's what he needs to do. Take him to Themyscira. You won't have a problem with Joker anymore.
I mean, heck, in the Mike Deodato run, Joker even takes on Wonder Woman, and Wonder Woman, was like, catches them in a big ass house explosion.
That's cool, but you can do that with one Amazon. You're not going to do that with an island full of them. So, like I said, that's where I would take him. I would take him
crime. Like, you could have the dude's head lopped off clean, and he's still coming back.
Well, then obviously something is up with Joker, and he's not human, and that's a whole other storyline, which I've never seen him not be human in the comics. But that's all.
I mean, considering some of the things he's lived through, it's just like, and of course it depends on what storylines you consider canon and not canon. Because there was a time the 3 Jokers was supposed to be canon, but then it got black labeled and not canon.
It's not canon
anymore. Because if 3 Jokers had been canon, I think that would have been the best explanation. In terms of like why there always seems to be a Joker coming around is because it's like, well, because there is a Joker and they create more Jokers to a degree. So it's like not always the same guy. And I think that was like even in the show Gotham, they kind of did something like that a little. I mean, he still had the definitive Joker, with like at first Jerome and then his twin brother and stuff like that, but like there was that whole thing where like laughter is contagious sort of deal.
Oh yeah,
like, there could theoretically be more than one Joker, so it's like you can kill him as much as you want, but he's always just going to come back in some.
So that's is why I'm burned out on Joker. I'm standing by my original. I don't care how. Every time you find a new Joker, take his ass at Themyscira. Let them handle it. They have a whole other island they throw men on. Like when they
throw him on an island, and they would just be like, hey, it's a man on Themyscira.
Now you have to understand how messed up it is when they have sons and not daughters, and they're like, oh, you're going to that island. And they treat them like slaves, like secondhand citizens. It's actually really effed up in this storyline, but it's Themyscira. Gotta be women. Let's see. The Sci-Fi had so many good shows. I know, when they cancel them. I love Eureka. There's just so many. Everything from Eureka and Warehouse 13 to Winona Earp. Like every time I get into a show on that damn channel, they end up canceling it. And I love Killjoys. That was another really good show that I really enjoyed.
Well, I love the Sci-Fi channel when it was the Sci-Fi channel, like science fiction, sci-fi, and then they just changed it to the SYFY, and I'm like,
that's the British way of spelling sci-fi. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what they were thinking. Again, the fact that they actually canceled Warehouse 13 is ridiculous.
Sci-fi type shows from it too and stuff. And I miss the Sci-Fi Channel original movies for as awful as they were.
They still sometimes do the Monsters of the Week, which are hilarious. I mean, there's nothing like seeing a bunch of like museum like T-Rex bones running around eating people. It's absolutely hilarious. It is what it is, though. The Court of Owls. Huh. Are you saying you want to see the Court of Owls? Or are you saying something that we said related to the Court of Owls? Elaborate, please. The Batman theme in the new movie reminds me of the old Darth Vader theme.
I don't know. I kind of heard elements of maybe Christian Bale's Batman. I know when Catwoman was on screen, there was like, I don't know, it sounded like there was like a string thing going on where that reminded me of Tim Burton's Catwoman theme too.
They might have taken like inspiration from all of them, trying to, combine them and make their own little.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of the score, though, I will say this is probably one of my least favorites. It was good; it worked for the movie, but I do find as the movies go on, they get what is it? The Batman themes and scores seem to get less, less. I don't know if intense is the word, or they're just like, like the Danny Elfman theme, for example. I could put that thing, pop that CD in my player, CD player, and just like rock it out. Like still the best Batman soundtrack in terms of film scores of all time. Batman and Batman Returns. I love Danny Elfman's music. And the Christian Bale ones, the theme is okay. it's good. It's good to listen to in the movie, but I don't really listen to it much on its own. The same with the BVS Batman theme. Like that definitely works for the movie, but just like to listen to it on its own. And I kind of feel like this movie's in the same camp as the previous ones. Like the Batman Returns soundtrack, probably the only two I can actually like straight up listen to and get enjoyment out of it.
So I'm trying to I'm not trying to age myself, but I'm gonna go ahead and do it. So I remember being in junior high, I believe. Playing junior high? Yeah, junior high when the first Batman movie came out. And I remember hearing Bat Dance. When the Prince did like the
oh my god, Prince, yo,
I
Prince.
effing love that. I had, and see, back in the day, I didn't have CD player. I had tape deck. So I had like the tapes. I would burn the hell out of that. I would play it over and over. And if the tape started coming out, I'd reel it back in.
Prince did for that movie was amazing.
It was absolutely, it's to this day, it's still my favorite Batman soundtrack. I loved Prince's, the music, like the instrumentals, all of it. I loved all of it. Everything about the soundtrack for the first Batman movie, Tim Burton's Batman movie. Loved it, loved it.
Have to.
Yep. I was underwhelmed with the Joker in this movie too. I think everybody was, honestly. I'm underwhelmed.
I honestly wish they would have just cut him completely from the movie and just kind of forgotten about it.
Yeah. I think he was meant to be an Easter egg. And thank you. Yes, Barry. I'm saying his name right, aren't I? Barry Keoghan. I'm part Scottish, not Irish, so I don't know.
Yeah. Keoghan sounds right.
It might be.
Sounds better than Hogan.
Yeah, he should have an easier name. Would you like to see Zoe Kravitz lead in a Catwoman movie? Hell yeah, I'd watch it.
If it's based on this interpretation of Catwoman, I would definitely like to see that. I mean, she's like, yeah, I'm gonna go over to Bloodhaven, and I'm like, Rocket, go for it. Let's see it.
I was waiting for them to compare her to Halle Berry's Catwoman because Halle Berry's mixed in real life, so is Zoe Kravitz. And it's like, well, she's a product of two mixed people, which is a whole other category. But like, just to see, I was waiting for the memes to be like, "This is how you do it, Halle," or something like that. Because if she comes up with a Catwoman movie and it does really well, I bet you that's not going to.
Yeah, but I think WB would be really scared to go for a Catwoman movie, though.
Yeah, you never know. HBO Max might do one though. You never know. We have to see how good
HBO Max original either movie or maybe like a 4 or 5 part miniseries or something.
Yeah, because I'm telling you now, right now. I mean, I'm trying to give the benefit of the doubt because I know we're getting Batgirl and we're getting are we getting Black Canary? I think we're getting Black Canary. But
I'm not sure. I know they talked about the Black Canary one, but I think that one's still kind of like in and out.
Okay. Well, I know that I know Batgirl's done.
Batgirl's definitely confirmed. We've seen the pictures. We've seen the suit. I think they're, they got so much of it filmed already. But yeah, Black Canary is definitely the one that's kind of like we still really haven't seen any principal photography or anything out of it yet.
Yeah.
So.
Well, if it does really well, that may open up. Because the Batman did so well, it may open up an avenue for them to actually talk about doing a Catwoman series, and it could be something like 6 or 7 episodes. Because Peacemaker is not long, and Peacemaker
exactly. I would not mind like a high quality show, like done on a really good budget. That's basically film quality, and it's like, all right, give me this for about 5 to 6 episodes, and as long as the writing is good and stuff like that, I'll be perfectly happy for it. I mean, I'll say this. Especially watching TV on the streaming end of things today, I'm kind of over, needing a 22 episode season in a show.
Yeah, for me, it depends on what it is. Honestly, with Moon Knight, I'm going the opposite direction.
Content nowadays, anyway. I mean, heck, even when I go back and watch Smallville, 9 times out of 10, I know which episodes contribute to the actual overall season narrative.
Yeah.
And we'll generally go for those over the filler episodes, which is the majority of it. I mean, because you take any show from the past that's about 22-ish episodes and stuff, only about 10 to 13 of them matter.
Yeah, so. And I can see a 13 episode arc. Like that's the problem that I'm having right now with like Moon Knight, which I'm not going to talk about. I haven't even watched today's episode. I haven't watched it yet.
I haven't watched it either. I was going to watch it last night, but
but everybody on the channel already knows that I talk about it, and I know you've been on for 1 or 2 of them. But like, I feel like they really could have benefited from having a little bit longer of a run, because I feel like they're trying to cram too much crap into one show, and it's kind of bothering me how fast it's going. if that makes sense. Especially the last episode, I was very underwhelmed from what was happening. So yeah, so I like I said, I haven't seen today's. I have not seen today's. I mean, but we'll see what happens. But yeah, the reason I was bringing up though, for Catwoman's show, if it's anything like Peacemaker, which I know is a James Gunn production, I think it would be, especially if they got James Gunn to help. I think that would be epic. And I would love to, at that point, since we got a little cameo in Peacemaker, to have Peacemaker do a cameo in Catwoman. I think that would be absolutely amazing. I would think it would be funny as hell. But it is what it is. He was a guy with the face paint in the beginning of the film that was beat up by Batman before he said, "I'm vengeance." Oh, okay. So that was him? So that was Nostalgia Critic.
Wait. Was it?
Maybe.
I think that was.
I mean, honestly, I didn't recognize the guy either way. So we'll have to go back and look at that. Because I don't know. Legend isn't getting renewed. So far, they're on the same. So apparently there's 4 spots. We have Naomi, we have Batwoman, Legends, and then Gotham Knights all competing for the same spot. So right now, everybody, I've read that they're all doing Twitter campaigns. Please save our show. # please, please, please. But at the end of the day, I don't know what the hell they're doing. So this is the weirdest situation because whenever an Arrowverse show does not get instantly a new season, you already know they might be on the cutting block. We didn't think it was going to happen. Then we saw them do it with Black Lightning. And then we saw them not pick up Painkiller. So, I mean, they're being serious with what they're trying to keep and what they're getting rid of. And if they're trying to tie everything into the HBO Max version of the DCEU universe, then they're trying to get more serious shows probably on air, which means I don't think Legends will be gone.
I definitely think over time we're going to start to see more and more CW shows kind of fall by the wayside in favor of, hitting up the streaming services with HBO Max and stuff like that, because they definitely, whether you like the shows or not, you can't deny that the MCU, Disney Plus shows are hits, in terms of, it gets people on the service, it gets people watching and stuff, people are craving that, or even if you go over to like, say, Amazon Prime and stuff, people definitely are craving those higher quality shows with just like, movie production level writing and cinematography and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So,
it is what it is. And plus, the CW reinvents the wheel.
HBO Max definitely wants a slice of that pie with like some future superhero content.
Well, they want the slice of every pie, but I mean, it's just what it is. But no, I do think that the Arrowverse, it's one thing to be creative and do your own spin and stuff, but they reinvented the wheel to the point where they write themselves into very unrealistic plot holes. And I think people are starting to call them out too much, and it's just bad. Like, I'm legitly, guys, I do need to schedule my Arrowverse weekly recap this week, which will probably be tomorrow. But I told Joe this earlier. I tried to watch Naomi today for 15 minutes. I fell asleep 4 times. I don't know what that tells you because I'm still trying to give this show the benefit of the doubt, but like, it's where I'm at, and it's why it's been so hard for me because I haven't watched the last episode of last year.
It's definitely come to a point where it's like, hey, CW's got a new show. It's like
I am burning out. I really am burning out.
I mean, Lois or Superman Lois is still good. Like, I'll say that much. But.
Yeah, I will say, Blurred Without Fear like literally stopped when they did Crisis. And I understood it because I'm the one who called him and told him it was shitty, and then he watched it and agreed with me. And I was like, "You wouldn't have this."
I don't. Yeah.
And
Crisis is definitely not it.
I don't know why my little ignorant heart was just so hopeful. Superman and Lois is still doing it for me. I still like Stargirl. I don't hate Naomi. It's just the pacing of that show makes me catatonic. I cannot help it. I just can't help it. So I'm having a lot of issues with that. So transparency, guys. And then the Flash gets on my nerves. So it's my new Batwoman right now. And I
couldn't even finish the last season. It's just I'm checked out. I've checked out of the Flash.
It's
I
hard.
kind of just watch it in the background occasionally just to kind of try to keep up with it, but
it's hard, and right now they're making it seem like they're in a horror movie. So Paul Dini needs to keep his cringy fantasies out of his writing.
I would like that.
I think everyone would like
made a great dark animated series with like the DCAU on TV, but is that one point in his writing where I'm just like, bro, leave that one out, leave it alone.
Yeah. Now, am I reading this wrong? Batman is the med combo, not being the best. I'm not sure what that means, Ray. I'm sorry. I could be slow today. I am slow today. I do love and enjoy the renditions that the Joker is this abstract thinking genius that all his crazy is really super intelligence. I mean, I'm never going to say that Bruce is not super intelligent. I'm just not going to take away the fact that he's also crazy because he really is. Instead of dealing with his trauma, he became a bat. That's what he did. He became a bat. You know, we call him Batman. He didn't put man behind that. Like he's a bat. So yeah, it is a thing. I think him and Morbius would get along great. I need Batman to have in one movie a tactical suit that makes sense for his physical prowess, acrobatics, and mobility to be Batman. Ben Affleck's suit didn't even make sense. Love his Batman. Ben Affleck still was a damn good Batman and Bruce Wayne. I have to give it to him because people gave him a lot of shit. And I really liked
honestly, if he had gotten a better, like if he'd been under a better writer that actually knew Batman and knew superheroes and stuff, he would have been, I think, a very good long-term Batman for the DCEU.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like kind of like with like Cavill, Kendrick Cavill, and most excluding Ezra Miller. The casting was mostly on point and stuff like that. And, you know, that's just really sad that you know, they weren't in like really good movies. With the exception of like, you know, a couple, because, you know, Aquaman was pretty good for what it was, you know.
I didn't mind the first Wonder Woman movie. The second one we're going to talk about, but I
liked Wonder Woman. I liked Aquaman. Wonder Woman 1984 though. That was just bad. We don't.
We don't talk about that.
I'm trying to forget that's the movie that got Patty Jenkins fired from the Wonder Woman franchise.
I mean,
you know, we're getting a whole new director for Wonder Woman 3, and hopefully they just bring it back to what made the first one so good.
Yeah, I think that entire thing would have been like, ugh, I don't know. It's just cringeworthy when I think about that. Put Joker in Alcatraz or the Phantom Zone.
I'd have to say the Phantom Zone, but even then, you know, he still might find a way to escape.
I would take him to Esmalt. Ismalt, I think it's called. Is it Ismalt? You know what I'm talking about? It's in New Earth. It's Alan Moore. Alan Moore created it. It's what the heck was it called? It's where it's when the Empire was fighting the Guardians of the Universe, the persecutors of the Guardians of the Universe. What was it, guys? Like, why my brain ain't working? It's a Green Lantern story. Okay, but anyway. Right? No, hold on. I'm not crazy. I am not crazy. Yeah, Ismal. I'm right. Located somewhere in Sector 2814, the planet Ismal was once the throne world of the foul Empire of Tears, a galactic empire ruled by demons. And if you look at the picture of it, it looks like a big mouth and really creepy looking alien flesh. And anyone that goes to Sector 2814 does not come back. I would send him there. They're not coming back from that because people leave the Phantom Zone. I don't know why, but they leave like a day pass. They just seem to show up out of the Phantom.
Yeah, they came for 20 years. People from the Phantom Zone occasionally get out because, like, you know, because I think it was like one of those things where it was explaining that, you know, because Jor-El discovered it or something, he put in like a little back door for himself. So there's always a way out.
There's always like another side way to get out. Yeah, Joker would be the one to find that shit too. I'm like, I want them to hire Grant from Arrowverse to be the DCEU Flash. I think he's burned out because, you know, he got married. He has a kid. I think he is burned out. He signed on for season 9.
I like Grant when he started and stuff like that, and I still think he's doing the best job he can. But at this point, you know, I'd like to see a fresh face in the role. You know, I'd like to maybe them try to actually do like an actual, like, you know, almost 1-to-1 Barry Allen. Find that dude who's just like, he's got the right build and dye his hair blonde if you need him to, but as long as he fits the persona and, you know, can act it well, you know, I would like to see, you know, a more faithful adaptation of Barry Allen. You know, I mean, heck, much like the Batman, I would love to see a solo Flash movie that's like a long CSI film.
Yeah,
that'd be great. Because
I would love to see Batman in a type of like CSI situation.
Yeah, well, because like even one of the things that a lot of people forget is like even with Batman being considered the world's greatest detective, like even Batman has from time to time called into question who is the better detective between him and Barry, because
True.
whereas Batman had to go out and learn his detective skills, he learned from like some of the best detectives out there. With Barry, that was his job. That was his area specific of study.
I still think that his biggest rival is Mr. Terrific, but that's just me, because I think that for me, Mr. Terrific is so underrated in terms of his.
Mr. Terrific is so hyper intelligent. It's insane.
It's insane. Yeah. And when you listen to them speak to each other, you'll see it. Because something Batman will be pondering, and Mr. Terrific will be like, but the answer is obviously right here.
It's definitely one of the things that always bothered me in the Batman 1000 anniversary or something, when Batman was inducted into like the world's greatest detectives thing, and I'm just like, what, Barry didn't make it? Really?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Hey, y'all tripping.
Well, I mean, if you're watching The Flash now, you'll see that Kramer, remember his CSI apprentice, Kristen Kramer, is now her whole role is reinvented, where she never was his apprentice. She's actually the captain of Central City PD, CCPD, and they've reinvented her completely, and she's a metahuman. So
everybody's the damn near metahuman on that show now. It's like, my God.
So Barry not getting his justice, or just desserts, is not shocking.
Well, I mean, I've already seen the poster from the new season of The Flash, and there he is. He's all the way in the back. He's the biggest person on screen.
Well, you also need to understand that the main focus of this series has always been Caitlin, and now it's Caitlin and Frost. Now we have two of them. If you ever look at the trailer, count how many times you see Caitlin and Frost, and then everybody else. So it's just what it is. I give up on that show. I love Jerome as Joker. He was a little more rainy than Ledger's, but still batshit crazy, and I am here for it. I love me some Harley. That's my girl. Do it like it's your birthday, baby. I'm Mr. J. That's disgusting. I can't even think about them doing it. It makes me want to cringe. And Jerome Joker was laughing. I thought he was coughing up a lung. He might have been, actually, He got
pretty wild with his laugh, but it was very distinct. It was very good.
Yeah, I mean, he might have been coughing up a lung. They probably were like, you're really dying, but it works so well on camera. Rest in peace and magicians. Yep. The one and Winona Earp. Yep. They kill everything on that show. I was thinking the Court of Owls could be the villains in the sequel. Oh, okay. I thought they referenced it.
Court of Owls would be very interesting. Yeah, we haven't seen the good live action version of those yet. I think they were in Gotham a little bit, but
as long as we don't have another iteration of the damn Royal Flush Gang, I'm cool. I'm tired of seeing the Royal Flush Gang just throwing around. It's the Ace of Spades. Just go home. I don't want to see this anymore. I will be here for that. Wait, no one else of the George Clooney Batman fandom? Are you of the George Clooney Batman fandom? I mean he was more like Adam West to me. So
I've always said if you look at him in the style of Adam West, it's not actually that bad of a movie.
He is Adam West.
And it's not that bad of a portrayal, as long as you realize he's playing Adam West Batman.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You are so good. I wish you guys could do a panel with Jet and Eloy and Blur on a round table comic book analysis. That would be crazy, because that would be a 5-hour video. Because we're all in the comics, and we're all into stuff that I know, Blur may not know, or Joe may not know, or Groove Man, and then stuff they know I may not know or remember. It's just, so we're all educating each other, and then it'll end up being a 5-hour discussion. Wait, who did what when? I love everything X-Men related, have since I was a child. And quite frankly, Krakoa, I am so freaking behind on Krakoa right now. So people come be like, did you see when so-and-so betrayed so-and-so? I'm like, nope. I am behind.
Believe me, when it comes to Krakoa, you're not missing much. That whole, I'm kind of over X-Men at the moment, to be honest.
Yeah, I heard Captain Britain is now in the Netherrealm or something, or she's forming a new team.
I'm not 100%. I jumped off that.
I'm going to have to go look at that, because Betsy is now Captain Britain again. Well, people didn't realize she was originally Captain Britain back in the 70s, when Brian decided he wanted to go live his best life. So she ended up becoming Captain Britain before the UK version of Marvel closed. So them thinking that it really cracked me up, and they're like, Betsy Braddock is now, Captain Britain. I'm like, this is not new. This is not new information. She's done it before. So yeah, it's a thing. I think Zoe was more rendition of Eartha Kitt's version, modernization. That's what I thought. That's exactly what I thought. They were modernizing that. Yep. Peacemaker is supposed to make an appearance on Young Justice soon. Oh God.
Just please tell me it's John Cena doing the voice and it's his version.
I need it to be John Cena. Young Justice is such an amazing show. I really like Young Justice. I'm almost caught up, so because I love my Lady Shiva, so it is a thing. If they do Black Canary, Katie Cassidy better be the main Canary. No, I think they're going with the Black Canary that's from Birds of Prey movie. I think they're trying to use her. Moon Knight episodes has only had like 30 minutes of actual Moon Knight. I'm telling you, the show is very underwhelming for me, and I'm trying so hard.
It's basically kind of like, the way I look at it is it's like the old Incredible Hulk TV series where it's mostly Bill Bixby, but you get the Hulk for a couple minutes sometimes at the beginning and then usually at the end.
Yeah, it is a thing. Yes, Latino Young Justice is my favorite comic book show, second only to 90s X-Men and X-Men Evolution. Yeah, I
liked X-Men Evolution. That was one of my shows back in the day.
X-Men Evolution is cool. Well, I'm actually looking forward to the continuation of the 90s version of the X-Men because I really like that cartoon. So I'm really looking forward to seeing where, because it's supposed to pick up, I guess, where they left off, or maybe a few months or a few years later. I don't know. But I really am looking forward to seeing. And they're getting most of the original cast back, which is cool. And the ones that are alive. So it wasn't exactly Nostalgia Critic, but a lot of people made that joke. Oh, okay.
Oh, because he's saying it looks like Nostalgia Critic. Okay.
Oh, okay. Maria, Lois and Superman was so awesome. I thought about you when I saw it. Best episode so far of entire series. It's an amazing series. Like I said, I'm still involved. In it. I'm still watching Superman and Lois. I don't have problems with Superman and Lois except for the stuff you heard me nitpick about. But for the overall plot, I am still in it, but again, it is very obvious that they get more money and more plot and more planning than all the other Arrowverse shows. I am still very much invested in Stargirl. So Stargirl and Superman and Lois are my top two. I don't hate Naomi. I'm just so effing, it's so slow for me that I'm like, you have all of this effing potential and it's taking you so long to get to the point. I'm tired. It's like trying to talk to somebody and say, hey, what did you have for lunch today? And they're like, peanut butter. I'm like, really? I'm like, that is what Naomi is like for me. So it just drives me insane. It drives me insane. Yes, they are bringing back X-Men. I hope they feature the Age of Krakoa in the new story. That would be cool. I can catch up unless they retcon some stuff. Young Justice has gold standard writing. Yeah, you guys did not warn me though, which is my fault. That one of my well, technically a few people died, but one of my boys died in Young Justice. I was very upset. I was in my feelings. But that was a few seasons ago. Evil Jonathan, Superboy, and Emo Green Day Jordan was everything. Super Lana is a boss. Yeah, I'm gonna have to check that out. You gotta watch Naomi bi-weekly. That way you get a 2-hour movie every 2 weeks.
Just do one long video at that point.
That is what it's like, Joe. It's like somebody was doing a review on Naomi, but they forgot parts of the plot. And then that's literally the episode. So it's like, we spend so much time dwelling on insignificant shit that it's just like, why can't we just get to where we need to be? So I don't know. I am actually worried about Naomi not being renewed too, to be honest with you. They may actually be, it'll be really messed up to be canceled in your freshman year, but it might happen. All right, we got a few more.
Not every show can be a runaway hit. That's the reality.
Yeah. We're going to do a few more questions and then we got to go. So we're already at 1 hour and 41 minutes. Someone suggested that Matt Smith should have played Morbius. I didn't have a problem with Jared Leto doing more. Now I saw Morbius. I went to the drive-in and saw it. I have not done a review. I'm trying to figure out. I know Kenny Low TV was going to watch it and do it with me, but I'm not opposed to Joe. I'm not opposed to anybody who wants to be involved in that video. I don't even know if you've seen Morbius. Have you?
No.
Okay, so that would be hard. The problem is I like doing comic book content with Joe, but because he's in Japan, he doesn't get the movies as fast. Like, I know for a fact that I am not going to be able to hold out when Doctor Strange 2 comes out in 2 weeks, because I know I'm going to see it on opening night.
Oh, yeah,
I'm
unfortunately going to have to wait till it hits Disney Plus, unless somehow, some way, within the 2 weeks it's going to be in theaters, I can find a time that works because the times change every day and they're always moving the post. Like the very
Yeah.
first day, the first showings, I think at like 7:30 in the morning. And obviously that don't work. And then the next showing in that the very next day, they move it down a little bit and it might be at 9 o'clock in the morning. And just
Oh,
like
wow.
and they keep moving the post until the 2 weeks is up and it's out of theaters.
So in Japan, is it all of Japan or just where you are in Japan that it moves?
I'm not 100% on that as of right now because we only have one movie theater within a 20-mile radius, and it's at the mall. So there's
Gotcha.
already limited screens. So like even with the Japanese movies and stuff like that, they're always shifting things around and stuff. You're never guaranteed the same time twice.
Gotcha. Well, I was thinking that might be something you consider doing on a weekend or something in the future to see if maybe you can drive a little further to another town, another city or whatever. I know it's a bit of a commute, but you never know. They have like a 5 o'clock.
Next one's over about an hour drive.
I mean, we have the same thing here in Memphis. If something is like we have to drive 45 minutes to an hour to most things where I live. But yeah, I guess it just really depends. It depends. But yeah, I get it. It sucks. It's that military life in Japan, man. You know how it is. Cavill's job might be safe with the boss after the merger with Discovery. He has more sway with his new bosses than the ones who have had so far with DC. I just don't know what's up with that in the first place. I didn't realize that his position as Superman was in jeopardy. So I guess I'm confused.
Well, I think it's just because people are always getting worried because obviously, we've had one Superman movie in 2013 and that's been it. And we see all these other movies getting greenlit and shows getting greenlit, and Superman's always like the one that just seems to be getting the shaft. And definitely people like even people that dislike Zack Snyder's interpretation have been, I have seen them call for a new Cavill Superman movie. It's like you put them under, kind of like with Ben Affleck, you put him under a really good director, a really good writer that can bring out what that character is. Like Cavill would make a fantastic Superman.
Yeah, well, and the thing is that Man of Steel did not suck in theaters. It did not fail. So I mean,
it wasn't a flop, but it wasn't the runaway breakout success they wanted either.
Yeah,
and that's
but I mean, it's still a hell of a lot better than Singer's freaking Superman Returns. The only thing he had right was some of the casting choices were really good, but other than that, the plot, the writing, everything about that movie sucked. So
yeah, well, Superman Returns' biggest problem was that Singer was trying to effectively remake Superman the movie all over again, just with changing up certain plot elements and stuff. But he definitely got certain things right about the Superman character that Zack Snyder definitely missed.
He got the Christopher Reeves rendition of Superman, and I've always thought that this version, Cavill's more like New 52. He's not meant to be Christopher Reeves. So, and let's be clear, I actually really love very, very much the actor, because he's my Legends baby. He played Ray in Legends of Tomorrow. I love the actor for Superman. No issues with that. It is literally the writing that I could not stand. I could not stand the writing, the plot, none of it. I couldn't suspend my disbelief. There's especially the part where they're lifting up the kryptonite, like the Fortress Island with the kryptonite embedded all in it.
That part was much like, and that's how, you see, even with Zack Snyder's movies and stuff. That's I've always hated the whole thing of Superman can choose when to ignore how weak kryptonite seems to make him at times. I'm like, even Bryan Singer was lifting a whole mountain of kryptonite, and I'm just kind of like, no, that's not something he can power through. That's not the point, because it's an instantaneous effect.
And it was so much too.
Like
it wasn't like one fragment.
Yeah, I was like, even in BVS, the minute he picked up the kryptonite spear, he should have like skidded and face first into the dirt.
Yep. I mean, he was stabbed too first with kryptonite. So, I mean, you were already stabbed. You expect me to believe that somebody who's already stabbed, which means he has kryptonite poisoning in his blood, was capable of lifting that and flying off? No, I'm sorry. No, that was stupid. That was really stupid. Now I'm jumping around, guys, because again, we got to go in a sec, but I want to make sure. Batman wishes he was a tenth as smart as Mr. Terrific. Very true. Absolutely true. Batman on some level as the Question, though. Now, the Question is smart. He's very conspiracy theory. And then Renee, I guess, as the Question is very conspiracy theory. I know that Renee is a detective, a former detective. So she definitely has the detective, skill sets to go toe to toe, I guess, with Batman. But of course, you have to remember that Batman also has resources because he's rich. So it's easy to be the most brilliant man and detective when you can also dial anybody as Bruce Wayne and get whatever you need to know, get anything.
Oh yeah, it's like in his Batcave. It's just like, he has, the state-of-the-art spectrometer to like get that tiny little nugget of DNA or whatever. And it's just like, meanwhile, over at the GCPD crime lab, they're working with like 20-year-old tech.
Yep. 20, you're generous, 40-year-old tech. This computer worked last week. They so lucky for getting hit with the particle accelerator. I wish I could be so lucky to get those rays and become a metahuman. Depends on which show you're on. Honestly. I didn't realize how similar Legend of Korra and the Charm series really were. You're going to have to post a long explanation in the comments because I don't have time to elaborate on that because I'm very curious on that currently. So I would love to know.
Girls with powers. There it is.
There you go. I need to see Storm in this new series that gives credit to how powerful she actually is. The movies so far have been doing her shame. She is a dang goddess. She could destroy a continent easily. I know. They've been messing Aurora up for years.
We've never gotten that true to comic Storm yet, which is
or Rogue for that matter. We haven't gotten Rogue. Half the females in the X-Men series. Thanks, Brian Singer. Naomi just made me so mad watching. I had to stop and cringe. The way she is testing her parents as a child and how they are begging her and how everyone is testing her parents have me in my feelings. I'm going to say this, and I've said this a million times without spoiling this. The CW as a whole writes parents to be apologetic at all times. It is always the parents' fault. The children can flat out call you a bitch, an asshole, whatever, but you have to understand the kids are right and you are wrong. Anytime I see the trope of, I can't believe you lied to me, mom or dad, for years. And I'm like, you literally were lying to me about your powers and your shit this entire damn time. You hypocrite. It's just like, it puts me in my feelings. So yeah, I don't
go and commit crime. And it's just like, I only committed crime just to make my parents understand my feelings.
Yep. I'm like, I don't care. I'm be real. I don't care.
You're out. Come on.
Yeah, and then I can always argue the fact of, to be fair, that both her parents weren't aliens in the comics, so that's an invention of the Arrowverse too. But whatever, I don't care. Naomi, just grow up here. I don't think Jared was a bad Morbius, but I think the movie has bad writers like Andrew's Spider-Man series. I didn't hate the Morbius movie. I know a lot of people probably did. I didn't. Is it cheesy a little bit? Yeah. Absolutely. But I mean, the fact that they're taking a Spider-Man villain and giving him this much clout is cool. They didn't have to. They could have picked anybody. So the reinvention of it, in a sense, the way they did it wasn't bad. I legit did not hate the Morbius movie, but that's a conversation when I talk about the Morbius movie. But I look at it as a separate thing. It's just a separate universe from the comics because
whenever I see it, when I think of it, I mean, just from the trailers, it kind of like it feels like it's going to give me the same feeling that the Venom movies did, where they're not going to necessarily be good movies, but they'll be enjoyable movies.
Yep. When he lifted the Kryptonite Fortress, I wanted to throw my popcorn at the screen. Superman is supposed to be doing what? So, real talk, I went to go see this movie back when I was at Funimation with a director that I was working with at the time and Kyle Hebert from Dragon Ball Z and Naruto, good friend of mine. We actually we saw it in IMAX. So, I remember seeing that scene and I looked at Kyle and I was like, the fuck? He was like, I don't know. I'm like, you mean we literally, when we left that theater, we stood in the parking lot, which I don't do because that's dangerous, and talked for almost 2 hours on how stupid it was. I'm like, so I have flashbacks to that scene because I was like, are you effing kidding me right now? There's no universe that would happen unless he was a cyborg. There is no universe that was going to effing happen. So yeah, it was stupid, but this just goes.
Yeah, but then you get the reveal. It's like Bryan Singer gets to Superman 2. It's like, haha, Superman didn't actually return. That's a cyborg Superman.
No, he wishes he thought of that. When it flopped, he was like, I actually made a movie for women and they didn't like it. I'm like, Brian, go home. Just go home.
He tried. Well, he tried that. He tried to blame, poor Home Slice who played Superman, Brendan Routh, and I'm just like, bro, no, just dude, take your L.
Just understand that you should never do comic book movies ever in life. You don't even know what the hell you're doing, so stop.
Oh, yeah, well, I know for a lot of people after they saw Superman Returns, they thought back and they're like, God damn, now I wish I would have seen Tim Burton's Nicolas Cage Superman movie.
That's pretty bad when you have to compare it to that. But yeah, every time I watch anything that has his name attached to it, my initial thought is Brian's doing another comic book. He's effing up another universe. He's the only director that can actually have credit of effing up a Marvel series and a Superman DC property.
Because the only reason they ever really keep bringing them back is because, well, at least for the time, his movies made money and did well with the critics. And at the time, X-Men 2 X2 was considered the best comic book movie at the time, and
But then they got actual directors with real writers and actually knew what they were doing, and they were like, "Wow, we're outdated. These actually sucked." So I'm like,
yeah, it's definitely one of those things where when you compare it to today, specifically post MCU, which was one of the reasons why Bryan Singer's say X-Men Apocalypse didn't do quite as well as it probably would have, like 10 years prior. For example, because now people are seeing post MCU and it's like, we could have something a little more comic accurate and could be a lot better written, to be perfectly honest. So
yep, absolutely. And all of our women are not expendable like in all of the X-Men movies that he directs. Like all of you are just expendable. Yeah, I am, as you guys know, and if you've followed my channel for a while, if you ask me one of the directors I think is absolute trash is Bryan Singer. It's always going to be that answer. I'm sorry. I don't like his directing style. I don't like his takes on things. I don't like how he doesn't research anything. So I don't like him. I don't like it. Don't know him as a person. Don't care about a person. I'm talking about the directing style, the choices he made, how he literally butchered X-Men and Superman. I don't like him. But yeah, that is me. Hello, Kevin. You're late to the party because we're about to get up out of here. We're almost at 2 hours. We're about to go.
Wow.
I know. It's probably, what time is it there?
11:27 a.m.
It is 9:27 p.m. here. So I'm about to go. Joe's probably hasn't eaten yet. He probably didn't eat, but I think you're smart.
I ate breakfast, but now we're in lunch territory.
I understand completely. I have to go snuggle with the spouse because it's that time. But I will be back. I should have an Arrowverse stream tomorrow, hopefully. Fingers crossed.
Just say next season. You'll be back next season.
I'll be back next year. If we don't have it tomorrow, then more than likely it will be later on Friday night, because I also have me and Groove are going to be doing the Moon Knight episode 5 review on Friday. So I'll set that stream up. So that is going to happen. And then of course Saturday I have Al's house. So I will have that up. It's coming, but just bear with me. And again, the Morbius movie review is definitely coming because that is a whole different thing from the Batman. So, but yeah, overall we liked the movie. Didn't really have a lot of complaints. It did remind us of a lot of different things, but overall very excited for the sequel. So good job. We think the Batman was great. And if we did not get to your comments, concerns, complaints, and all of that jazz, please put it in the comment section below. Make sure to go over to Joe's Geek Show and like and subscribe to all his amazing comic book content. He's been putting out a lot of videos, a lot more than I have lately. So make sure to like and subscribe. I'm trying to get him to 1K, guys. So go out there and get him to 1K. He's in the I think your late 700s.
728.
720. So yeah, we're trying to get that viewership up because he is dedicated to popping those reviews out. That sounded amazing. All right, guys. If it is day for you, have a good day. If it is evening for you, have a good evening. And we will see you in the next video and in the next stream.